Welcome back to Switch to Linux. It is Monday. It is time for another Linux Top 5. And we are going to be looking at a software package today that is not exclusive to Linux, but I would always recommend if you want to start making a jump to Linux, start moving over and looking at cross-platform open source software because it will be available on Linux and on other systems as well. So today we're going to be looking at LibreOffice Writer specifically. And I'm going to be doing some more in-depth tutorials. I'm not going to show you how to do all the things I'm going to be talking about here today, but I am going to show you that you can do these various tasks on this. Some of these are pretty easy, but I'm going to call this the top 5 hidden tasks in LibreOffice Writer. Now, they may or may not be absolutely hidden. It's like nobody's hiding them somewhere, but things that you may not realize that you can do. And when people always ask me, what about WPS? What about OnlyOffice? What about, all these other platforms? And I'm sure many of the other platforms may have some of these features or maybe all of these features. Honestly, I don't know. I don't look around because LibreOffice is not missing anything. And I'm a writer, so I don't just use an Office program to just type up some documents. I am writing books. I'm producing books. I'm formatting books. I'm producing the outputs for the publishers. I'm doing marketing campaigns, all these types of things. I'm doing on Linux. And so we're going to be looking at the top 5 things that you can do with LibreOffice Writer. Okay, so we're going to be doing the top 5 hidden tasks in LibreOffice Writer. Number 1, you can do mailing labels without templates. This is quite hilarious because before I realized this full function was in here, I'd be downloading templates and things. I'm going to show you how ridiculous this is. So I actually happen to have 2 of these guys here. These are both from Avery, and I don't necessarily specifically recommend Avery. It just happens to be that I have some of these in the office. Usually you can buy the generic brands a lot quicker, a lot cheaper than you can buy the full Avery brand ones. But I'm going to show you how ridiculous this happens to be. So I'm going to go over here to the Avery website, and I want to download some mailing labels for 18160, which is 1.5 by 2 5/8 inch mailing labels. So I come down here, I find my label, and then what I want to do is I need to download my document. So I come over here and I select what is my format. Am I doing a PSD, AI, docx, whatever. So suppose I just grab my docx, I click my download template file. I have to either sign in, create an account, or I can download as a guest, which I have to give them an email address, a first name, a last name, and acknowledge that I'm only licensed to use Avery templates and software with genuine Avery products. So if I buy the knockoffs, it's technically against the terms of use. What, is Avery going to come sue me if I get some other 1 inch by 2 5/8 inch labels and I'm actually using them? This is ridiculousness on top of ridiculousness. I'm telling you, this is so stupid. I'm just baffled, and I LOL'd when I saw this. Oh boy, Avery, you've lost your ever-loving mind. But the reality is, you can actually do this in LibreOffice without actually having to download their crappy label. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up here into the File menu up at the top. We're going to hit New, and then we're going to come down here and find the option that says Labels. So inside of Labels, what then we want to do is we want to first find the label format that we want. So you can see that there's a variety of different options here. If you click Avery letter size, and then they actually don't have the numbers exactly the same. Essentially, try first omitting the first digit in this case. So my digit is 18160. If I click on that, this is a 3 by 10 label, 2.63 by 1 inch, and that's actually what we have right here. Now I have another one, which is my 18167. So if I grab 8167, let's see, 4 by, so that's 80 of them total, 1.75 by 0.5, and that's exactly what this one happens to be. So that's actually what we did. We just grabbed the template right from there. So we'll actually go back and use the bigger one that I showed you first, which is the slightly larger labels. All right. Now, what you can do is you can pull information in from a database, in which case you can just select a database or utilize another feature to insert some addresses, and we'll actually look at that in a little bit. We also have the options here. If you need to tweak this around here, you have the option to tweak it a little bit. So what I usually do is I'm going to print out a label, and then I'm going to hold up my blank template into some light and verify everything works. If anything seems a little off, come in here and just make some slight tweaks to your adjustment. Usually this actually works perfectly fine. And then what you want to do is you can select whether you want to use a single label. And then if you're using a single label, you can specify which one. So this is great if you need to print off just a couple little specified labels. But you also, though, have the option to print out the whole page. So I might print out a whole page here just to have the full address. Now, you can, we're not going to cover this right here, but you can actually attach a database and print out literally, 30 completely different addresses, one address per label. That's an option. The important thing we want to do for what we're doing here is you want to click your Synchronize Contents button. I'm going to show you why in a minute. So now that you have selected everything you want, hit your new document, and now you have this little Synchronize Label button over here. So what this is going to allow us to do is we can put in our address here. Switch to Linux. Any town, let's see, yeah, switch to Linux, let's do 123 Main Street, and we can do any town, USA, okay, let's take any town, MA, USA, there we go. We'll do that, and now what we can do is we can go ahead and just make any adjustments you want to do. So maybe you want to increase the size of the font. Maybe you want to center anything. Whatever you want to do, you maybe even want to center it into the label a little bit better like this. Now push Synchronize, and boom. Now you're set to go. You can go ahead and print this document out. This should print just fine. Again, I would always print one page out just on draft or scratch paper and then hold it up to the mailing labels, make sure it works. So there is your mailing labels, nice and simple. Number 2, you can mail merge letters. Create a whole mail merge. In fact, I just did this for a big marketing campaign. We found some nice envelopes with dual front windows, and so we did not have to print out mailing labels like return address labels, or actually mailing labels. We drafted one letter which had all of our return address and their the company address we were sending them to, 369 of these. We created one form letter, input a list of databases in a spreadsheet, and then we just had the system print them all out, and it worked beautifully. So to make that one work, what we want to do is come right back up here into our file menu again, click on your file, click on your new, and then what you want to do down here is come down here to your wizards and click on letter. So now it's going to walk us through a variety of things. Do we want, a business letter? So I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. So there's elegant, there's modern. You'll see that it will change the designs around a little bit. You can do a formal personal letter instead if you want to do something like that. You have that option. Or there's just this type of stuff here, in which case you can just, have some crazy clip art in there. Okay, so there's what you can do as far as that. Let's actually go back to the business because it actually has some information in there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first. So we're going to go ahead and click the next, and now we want to know what do we want to print. You can show or hide the logo, which you can change later. You can show the return address, the letter sign, subject line. Maybe we'll take that off. Salutation, fold marks. So the fold mark you'll see is over here. This is what will indicate where you fold your letter at. So I like actually having the fold marks on there. And if you actually get some of these form letters that you'll see see, you might actually see fold marks on some of them. It depends on the size of the company. Your bigger companies will actually have tri-folders. So you may or may not want those, but you can show or hide that. And that's that little tick mark you see right over here. My mouse is not aligned incorrectly, right? There you go, right about there. So you'll see that fold mark. We have a footer and we have a complementary close. Maybe I'll take the footer off. Hit next, you want the recipient. And so here is, you're going to use your placeholders for the recipients, which is what you might do if you want to print it out and then print a mailing label, which isn't always the best way to go. And then, or you can use address database for the mail merge. And then here is your letter template. So basically this is going to tell you where it's going to save your letter template. You can create a new mail or you can make manual changes to this. So we'll go ahead and click our finish. And then now it just wants us to save this somewhere. I'm just going to save it right to the document as a test letter. Hit save. And now it's going to input our address information. So you can actually pull from a variety of contacts, Thunderbird or IceDove contacts, IceWeevil, other external data source. So that's what we're going to select. And then now let's see. Come down here. We're going to select a spreadsheet from our database type. We want to enter it. And what I actually did is I created a simple spreadsheet over here, and you'll get a chance to see what that looks like. Hit your test collection, and hey, it connected correctly because it can find that document, which is just sitting right on the desktop. You'll see what it's doing is it's going to create this, this database out of that. Click on Finish, and now we need to do our field assignment. So what I did for here is for first name, I'm going to select my name. Let me show you what this, this thing actually looks like here real quick. Okay, so what I did is I have a name, address, city, state, and zip, and I just grabbed, 6 of the top viewers that watch my channel: Total OS, Carbon Programmer, Shatter, Pseudo Linux, and Techno Bismol and Pizza. Shout out to all you folks. And I just kind of threw in some random gibberish for the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. So that's what our database looks like. So now we're going to come up into here. Our first name is going to be our name. We are leaving our company blank. Our street is going to be our address. Our city is our city. Let's see. Our zip code is our zip. Our state is our state. Everything else we're leaving at none. Click OK. And then you have the option to embed the database, the address book definition into the current document or not. We're going to go ahead and click on Finish. And now what you'll see is you'll see up here it gives us the list on top, which will have all of our outputting. And then down here it tells me name, last name, company. So you'll see that the company is not being used, last name's not being used. Of course, you'd want to do first name, last name if you want, or just combine everything together. Sometimes you might get first name, last name in a spreadsheet. You can combine those together. I can show you that another time, but this is sufficient for now. And then what you want to do is come up here and you can actually make adjustments to this. Maybe I'll insert my logo. Let's do insert an image. And if I go to my documents, I should have a logo up here somewhere. There you go. Hi there, that's just in the title. And then down here, this is a mail merge test. All right, so now what I want to do is if I push my print button, it says your address contains database fields. Do you want to print a form letter? Click on yes. It's going to ask me where we're going to go. I'm not going to send this to the printer. I'm going to send it to the file instead. And then I can save as a single document or save as individual documents. I'm going to do a single document, and we are going to put this again on the desktop, and I'm going to call this, let's do mail letter. Push save, and then it just output 6 pages. And I think that was called mail letter. So now you'll see what it gives me is it gives me a letter which has the first address, the second address, the third address, the fourth address, the fifth address, and the sixth address. So that's how you can do a quick mail merge form letter with LibreWriter. Number 3, we have the ability inside of LibreOffice to do font embedding. This is part of the full book production, but some people have forgotten where this is. Some people don't realize it's an option, and some people are a little lost because it has changed, I think, from version 4 to version 5. But what this allows you to do is if you happen to be creating something that requires a specific font, you have the ability to embed that font in the output file. Now, it does not save in the writer document itself. So you can't have that level of portability. That doesn't work on any Office application. You would need the fonts installed on both applications. But where this is and why this is important is if you are writing a book, you will oftentimes need to use different fonts. And so in order to do that, my PDF output of my book here, The Art of Shallow Neighboring, I have used a custom font for this title portion and for the subheading portion inside of the book. This all uses separate fonts. And so you have the ability inside of LibreOffice to embed your fonts in the document. Now, this is very important because if I'm going to be writing a book and sending this off to the publisher, then I have to embed the font. I have to send the fonts inside the file, encrypted inside the file. Now, it has to. This is the reason it can't embed in the file itself. It has to embed in the output file, like the PDF. Because these are locked. There are a lot of font licenses that have to do with when you're writing books and you're using font licenses. So the licenses you might get are a picture only. So I can embed it in an image and use it in an image. But if I wanted to embed the image in, like embed that font into an ebook, for example, you need a different font license for that. And those embed in different ways. So this PDF is embedded in as an ebook reader. And so that's what we're seeing here. And so you have this ability. So to find this, you just want to come up into your document. I'll just go ahead and do it with my MailMerge letter here. Come down here to your properties in your document. And then what you want to do is come over to your font and click the option to embed fonts in the document. So what this does is when I then do an output of a file, such as into a PDF output, then what this is going to allow me to do is embed those fonts directly in the PDF, which is required if you are sending your book out to print, or anything really out to print. If you're sending something out to a publisher, the PDF will not carry with it all of the font information unless those fonts are embedded. So that is one of those functions and features that you need to have. Number 4, you have the ability inside of LibreOffice to do full book production. And so what this means is when you write a book, for example, you need to have it formatted correctly. So wherever your publisher happens to be, they will want the book in a certain format. Some people might want it in a Microsoft Office document, which I'm not a big fan of, obviously. So when I select my output files, I always do the option of sending them a PDF. This also locks the document so they can't make easy edits to it, which is another good thing. Now, some of your more crappier self-publishers will definitely want the Microsoft Office document because part of their upsell package is they're going to allow you to make some edits, maybe at some cost, and they have to have the raw Office document in order to do that. However, if you're doing this all within LibreOffice and you know what you're doing and you are controlling your final edits, then you want to have the ability to output the fonts, output the margins, output everything. And so LibreOffice has some of the best editing tools as far as page formatting. So if you look at this, first thing you'll notice is that the font is not the same. And this is because the font on this header is not actually installed on this particular computer. My font license is very specific as to the number of computers this is installed on. And this recording video production computer is not one of the computers I use to write stuff. And so I don't have those fonts installed here. I keep those on the writing computers. what you'll see, it would of course help if I move this over so you can see. I apologize for that. Now you can see that the font is not embedded. I apologize for that. But regardless, I have full book production. So one of the things that you will see is if you are looking at the ruler at the top, you'll see that this is not an 8.5 by 11 document. This is actually an 8 inches in height, like 8.5 inches in height and 5.5 inches in width. And that is the size of this actual book. So I have all of the formatting information embedded inside of this document. I have all of the margins, which includes left pages, right pages, title pages, content pages, index pages. All these types of things are built directly into the document. And so what you'll see is on your on my toolbar here under my properties, I have a variety of styles. So you'll see my chapter number, you'll see my headings, my subtitles. All of this information is used. In fact, I believe I'm using all of these in this case. I got rid of everything that was not relevant to this book inside of this. And so I can create, these are styles for the individual pages. These are character styles. And the other place you'll find things is under my style and formatting. You'll see I have all of the listings over here. So here's character styles, here are frame styles, and here are the page styles. So when you're writing a book, you need to have separate styles for a right page and a left page. And the reason for this is because of how your margin sits. You oftentimes need to have a gutter margin inside the inner binding of the book. And so that means that your left page and your right page printed are going to have slightly different margins on the left and the right. So you need to have a default, a left page, a right page, a first page, a chapter page, endnotes, footnotes, anything else that needs to have its own special page. You have the ability inside of LibreOffice to create all these. Now, this is definitely nothing I can go into the fine details. You'll also have your numbering, which will address bullet points on the front and everywhere else. You'll see that on some of these pages, I have the three-line header here. This is done because these are chapter pages. So if I open up a chapter page, for formatting, I remember how to do that. There we are. Modifying it. Then what you'll see here is that each one of these page types is going to have its own custom margins. So in this case, the margins are always going to be on a right page. So all of the margins mirror the right page margins for a chapter page. But where it actually differs is that I have some difference in how the fonts are working. Here's your borders, here's your footer, here's your header, here's your page. And I gotta remember where that particular font one was at, but you can see where all of the options differ. So basically you have to come in here, and usually what you're gonna do is you're going to take your right page, duplicate this as your chapter page, and then make a couple of adjustments to it. I think where I have this is actually on my style page. So what happens is, I don't want to get into all of the details on setting this up, but what happens is I call the first paragraph on a type chapter page happens to be this particular format, which is going to have the first paragraph. So you see where I have my first paragraph matted in. This is just default style. This is the first paragraph. The first paragraph is called as the first paragraph on the front page. So all of this is fairly complicated things that you need to do if you're writing a book, and LibreOffice manages all of this perfectly. This is why I use LibreOffice across all my platforms, so that I don't have to mess with different type of applications for different types of things. Number 5, you have the ability to push and pull files from a server using the WebDAV options. And so if you're working with a Nextcloud install and you don't have the extra server space to build the Calibora server, you will need a separate and a more beefy system to run Calibora to be able to edit your documents on the Nextcloud server. The other option is simply pull the documents off using that server push and pull function. So to do that, you just want to come up here to the file menu, Of course, it'd help if I, once again, show you the screen. You want to come up here to your File menu, and you want to hit Open Remote Documents. Now, I already have this set up into my system, and so I'm just going to need to enter my username and my password. And then as I log in, you'll see that it actually gives me all of my all of the information that's up there on the server. I'm going to grab this new text document because this was a font test. I was testing being able to do the Nextcloud fonts on there. So what it's going to do is it's going to pull the file off of the server, and now I can come over here and just do some testing here. Of course, I got to learn how to spell my name right. Go up, hit the Save button up here. Now, this might give you a prompt about saving online. It might not. It is going to save it directly up into the cloud, so we're going to give that a second to do that. And then as that is saving, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the file in my Nextcloud app. It will take a moment to save. This is not a particularly fast protocol. I'm not sure why it takes as long as it does, but it is finally saved. So I'm going to go in here, and my application says that it was changed just a second ago. Let me go ahead and make my screen a little bit bigger so you can see that. So it does tell me that the document was changed just a second ago in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to open it up, and there's the new text. So this did actually pull the file. We made the adjustment on the computer. We pushed it back up to the server without actually having to log into the server any other way other than this. So those are 5 amazing features of the LibreOffice Writer application, and why I choose to use LibreOffice for all of my writing and general office needs. So thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to help support what we're doing, you can check out switchtolinux.com/support to learn about all the ways you can help us. Let me know in the comments down below the types of things you'd like to see as I launch into a more in-depth tutorial on how to do various things in LibreOffice. Let me know the things you want to see best, and I'll be slowly building up my tutorial series on this application as the days move along. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.